Today we have Yalmikia Edmonds. She's founder of, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Levonye Professionals, and a certified hair loss practitioner. She empowers women and girls to embrace their strength and overcome hair loss challenges. Through her holistic approach, she combines hair restorations expertise with motivational speaking and advocacy for self-improvement. Yalmika's compassionate understanding of the emotional impact of hair loss allows her to restore hair and instill confidence, offering valuable insights for her audience. Y'all already know what to do. Let's give a warm We Talk Weekly welcome to Miss Yalmikia Edmonds.
Hello, how are you? Is it, yeah, hold on. I just want to make sure we got your name right. Is it Yalmikia, right?
It's Yalmikia.
Oh, Yalmikia. Yeah, we want to get this sister name right. Yalmikia. That's right.
Okay.
No doubt. No, how are you, my sister? How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm sitting in my car because I was at a close friend of mine's. She turned 40 today. So I had to step away and come sit in my car. So I hope you guys can hear me well, but I'm excited to be here.
No, we hear you really well, and I just gotta tell you, I'm feeling the hat.
Looking
beautiful.
I
love the hat.
Yes.
You know,
Ensemble.
absolutely. So I'm a wardrobe stylist, and and one of my favorite colors is like red, right? And so that kind of like palette, that genre of red, from the oranges, the hots, and the scarlets, all of that good stuff, right? And so why don't we talk a little bit about what you're wearing right now? Because I just got to give a nod to all my fashion folks. So let's talk a little bit about what you're wearing. Yep.
So what I'm wearing right now is a sweater dress. If I could stand up, I would show you. But it's kind of like
little
the
cutout. Okay.
Oh,
and
I need that.
I have short hair, so I love wearing my hair short. But I love me a nice fedora.
Yeah,
I love me
that.
I love fedoras, and I have this red clutch,
Mm.
and I have on some red and cream pumps.
Yeah.
So
Let me see. You gotta let me
was getting ready
see.
to say, you gotta
gotta
show
let me
it.
see. You gotta let. Unless they too hard to get back on.
Shoe can.
yeah, they
Shoe
kind of
can.
complicated.
All right, don't worry about it. Then I get it. I know the challenges. I know the challenges. No doubt. No doubt.
I'm sorry about that.
Nah, that's all right. That's all right. But look, one of the things that we like to do is to start from the beginning, and since you brought up hair, let's start there, and what got you into that, especially the health and wellness of it. And let's talk a little bit about your journey.
So I started out as a licensed cosmetologist, and I've been in this industry since 2004. I've been doing hair for a long time, and I had a moment. And this it's going to get personal because where I got to where I'm at now, I had to go through something personal to get to where I am.
Okay.
And so being a licensed cosmetologist for so many years, I kind of found myself in a space where I kind of wanted to get away from doing hair because it became kind of redundant.
Got you.
And I'm the type of person where I like to be challenged and I get bored kind of quick. And so I had a moment in my life where I went through a toxic divorce. And that's when I had my aha moment. So I got bored in the industry, and then I was going through a toxic divorce. So what I did was shut down my salon for 2 years, and I sat still until I had to figure out what I wanted to do next. And hair loss came to my mind. And how that came to my mind was I was praying and I was like, I need to figure out what my next step is going to be. But whatever my next step be, it has to be something that is going to not require me to be behind the chair for 10 hours and to make the amount of money that I was making then. I wanted to make that in like one day. So I was praying and I was like, God, I want to be able to work smarter and not harder. And hair loss just kept coming to my mind. And so after I had started having the thoughts of, hair loss, I ended up mysteriously receiving messages and emails about hair loss centers. And so I started saying, okay, God, he answering my prayers. And so I ended up going back to school to become a certified hair loss practitioner. I went to New York. I was there for about 6 months, back and forth, because I'm from Baltimore. And I ended up becoming a certified hair loss practitioner, and then I got into hair restoration. Now, when I got into hair restoration, I did not know it was going to be the way it was. And what I mean by that is women telling me their story, women telling me that they were having suicidal thoughts, women telling me that they going through divorces like I had, women just telling me a lot of their stories, which was leading to them losing their hair. And of course, medical conditions such as cancer. And so I had another moment, and I said, if I'm going to go and do this, I need to go all the way and do it all the way. And so I just said, I'm going to figure out how I can open up a hair loss center. And I started doing the work, and I had started putting systems in place. And the systems that I was putting in place was very challenging. But I believe that if I was going to go down this route, that I needed to have these systems in place so that our demographic will be able to benefit from our services. And all of this took place from about 2017 up until literally last year. We had our grand opening in October. And dealing with women with hair loss is depressing. It's very it can be very challenging. It put me in a space where it made me realize that, wow, it's a lot of women out here that's going through hair loss, that's losing their hair. And I would never thought that people's hair can come out from the stories that they were telling me. And their stories inspired me and pushed me into taking my business to the next level. I had a hair salon. As I stated before, I shut it down. And when I opened back up, I opened up a hair loss center. And so that's where I've been. In 2020, I opened up a small hair loss space. In 2021, I opened up a bigger location. In 2022, I opened up a larger space. And here in 2023, which was last year, I opened up a 1,500 square foot location where now I had 2 employees. And so the story, it really took some time. It took years. But that's pretty much where I'm at. And even with me providing these hair restoration services, I decided that since I'm already a speaker, I might as well use my platform to help women who are experiencing hair loss. So every year we host conferences for women that's dealing with alopecia, but we also speak with women in general about how to reach their true authentic selves. So I kind of collaborated both together.
No, I like that. And I want to, when you said or mentioned hair loss, right? The first thing that came to mind was the whole conversation around Jada Pinkett Smith, right? And her conversation based around alopecia, right? I want you to just talk a little bit about alopecia and I guess the severity of that. And I guess for people who don't understand the dynamics of that, can you walk them through kind of those particular issues and how emotionally and mentally that can affect the person who is experiencing hair loss?
So alopecia is so many components connected to alopecia. Depending on each woman and their story, it determines the severity for that specific individual. So like when we talk about Jada Pinkett, by the way, I get told I look like her all the time. And here I specialize in hair loss. So people just be like, maybe y'all two can get together. I don't know, maybe one day it'll happen. But I believe that with her situation, she had alopecia for a moment. So alopecia it can come and go for some people. And for some people, it can be permanent. There are so many different types of alopecia. Jada Pinkett alopecia was hormonal, and whatever it was that caused hers to trigger, her hair grew back because she has hair now. So she had alopecia for a moment,
Right.
and it can be unpredictable. So the severity behind her specific story at that moment in time, and her hair came back. So if she felt what she felt during that moment in that period in her life when she had alopecia, you can only imagine what it's doing to women who can't grow their hair back at all.
Right. Right. Right.
And so, as I mentioned before, I had clients who wanted to commit suicide.
Wow.
I had a husband of mine who came to me and told me I saved their marriage. And in my mind, I'm like, wow, I would not have ever thought that alopecia can mess up a home to that degree.
Yeah.
Now, on the outside, when we see people with it, we don't think nothing of it. We just think, oh, they got hair loss or they have alopecia. We don't know the cause behind it. That's a whole other thing, though, because if someone is taking chemo or they taking some type of medication, that's one thing they already got to deal with. And then you got to look at yourself with no hair. That's the second thing you got to deal with. Then you're dealing with stress. You're dealing with depression. You're dealing with a lot of different things that's connected to the why, the cause, and the effect. So it's a lot all in one. But what I can say is what I noticed that what every woman have in common that has alopecia, whether it stays or whether it is permanent or temporary, is that they all create a false narrative about themselves. And this false narrative that they create, it could be anywhere from they have low self-esteem, they have no confidence in themselves, and then they even start creating stories in their mind that don't even exist. And so that's what caused me to say I want to speak to these women, because servicing them wasn't enough. I mean, they can come in and get these hair loss systems that we provide for them, but mentally they done created that story that's still living in their mind. And so now we had to go an extra mile or go the next step to try to help them unlearn those false narratives and those limiting beliefs that they put on themselves.
Got you. So not only alopecia, but hair loss happen in men also, right? And a lot of this isn't necessarily a death sentence, right? You can kind of come back from certain hair loss, right? And if that's the case, what would be some examples of routines or ways that, a young lady who might be losing her hair or one of our seasoned citizens that may be losing their hair, what are some of the routines, and does it differ from men or women? Is it the same kind of routine? Are men chemistry so much different than women that their hair loss may be a little harder to grow back? Like, can you walk me through that and explain that?
Yeah. So with men, you have male pattern hair loss, and with females, you have female pattern hair loss. Now, with men, it's kind of different because I was challenged to pitch my business to men because I can service men too. And little did I know, a lot of men that are African American, because I do service like white men, Indian men, but African American men, the ones that I came in contact with, they don't like being bald.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
They want to do something about it. And so one of the services we do provide for men and women is scalp micropigmentation, which is called a hair tattoo. But the routines that a man would take and a routine that a woman would take would be, I would say, completely different.
Really? Interesting.
Yes. Because women, we personally, a woman with hair, we go through a lot to keep our hair or to maintain our hair. So for a woman who don't have hair, they gotta work double. So the routine that I put in place for some of my clients, when it don't even come to just restoring their hair, is finding.
Oh, she went out. maybe she got a call or something. There she go. She went back out. And so there she go.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, so they join in town hall meetings, groups.
Somebody must be really calling her. They like, yo, I'm trying to talk to you right now, but I'm having an interview. We Talk Weekly. She trying to talk to Charles Gregory, y'all. Stop calling her. She need to talk to us right now. But I find it interesting until she come back on. I see her there. She must be having some connection issues. But I find it interesting that there are certain things that men and women truly differ from, you know, in terms of routines that make themselves better.
I'm sorry, guys. Please forgive me.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Go ahead. I'll let you finish. Yep.
So yeah, some of the routines is joining groups, support groups, town hall meetings, a healthy diet. Another part of the routine is pretty much like maintaining your mental health, honestly, because that's where it starts at. When it comes to men, to be honest, a lot of men, when they begin to lose their hair, they don't really think about a routine.
Right.
Most of the time, I don't think a man really put a routine in place when they dealing with alopecia. They just go shave all their hair off and they go on with their day.
Right.
Women, on the other hand, they have to go through a routine, whether they realize it or not. They going through a routine. So when we talking about restoring their hair and their mental health, it's a collaboration between the two that requires a daily routine, because even though you physically doing something about it, you still got to have something in place to help the mental side.
Yeah. No, I got you. So that said, right, are you then saying that if the process, I'm talking with regards to men, but even some women, the process now, once they start losing hair, are you saying now that once you start losing your hair as you get older, then that's it and you have to go through a different process? Or can you truly start regrowing that hair back again? You know, I've been hearing things, you know, in different companies like, I believe it's called Creole Essence, and it's other products out there that I see is like natural oils that you put on your skin and your hair, and it's starting to, you know, I guess, work out those follicles again, and the hair start out. You know, I don't do this, but this is kind of commercialized content that I'm spewing, right? And so I'm just wondering, is it an end-all be-all when men and women start losing their hair naturally, without like alopecia or without any medical conditions, without chemo, but just naturally, when they start naturally losing their hair? Is that the end, or can they start to regrow?
Yeah, it definitely can regrow. So, like at my facility, we don't only service people with alopecia. Now, alopecia is another term for hair loss. They both the same thing.
Ah, okay.
Right. So we service people with alopecia, with thinning hair, and people that's like in between. And so it's not an end all be all depending on the person's situation. So what I tell people to do, if you have a head full of hair, take supplements. And take the supplements I'm talking about is only geared towards hair restoration. Because when you begin to thin out, man or woman, it could be genetics as well. But when you begin to thin out, if you start 5 years ahead of time, then you're pretty much 10 years ahead of what's to come. Hair loss starts before we can even see it happen on the scalp. So by the time we start to see the thinning, the hair loss phase started 3 to 6 months before we started to see the manifestation of it.
Right, got you.
But it's not an end all be all. So it's this service that we provide called a trichoscopy, where we can look at the scalp with a microscope, and the clients get to see their follicles. We get to see what their scalp look like. We get to detect if the hair is going to come out or if they're going to experience premature hair loss, and we get to actually stop it before it starts. So if the follicles are still active, then most definitely the hair can regrow. But if the follicles are no longer active, unfortunately, the follicle needs to be active in order for hair to grow through the follicle.
So if a woman has scarring alopecia or alopecia totalis or universalis, which are different types of alopecia, the follicles are no longer active. That's when you see people with shiny, bald heads.
Yeah.
So when you see that, and I don't like to say bald because it just sounds so bad, but I'm gonna say when you see people with shiny pain point, that's the sign that the person's follicles are no longer active. But if you see little black dots on someone's scalp, like if a man or a woman get their hair cut really low, like a number one, and you can see the follicles, you can see the little black dots on the scalp, that means there's still a follicle. Gotcha. But if you don't see a black dot, then the follicle is no longer there. So it just depends, to your question, it depends on the person and their situation. It's not an end-all be-all for everyone, though.
I got one more question for you. I know y'all. I just want to let the ladies have an opportunity to speak. When it comes to, say, for example, women who have been, wearing kind of weaves, right, and they're putting the glue in their hair and taking it out, putting glue back in, and things of that nature. How damaging is that to the quote unquote follicle, right? But also,
the edges is gone.
Yeah, but that's where I was going. That's where I was going, right? Because they talk about the edges, right? And
yeah, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to have edges these days.
Yeah. So what is it? Is that one of those situations where once the edges are gone, they're done? And is it because of the glue? Like, why does that happen? I don't have to worry about edges per se, but I hear this conversation constantly.
Well, do you have a young daughter, or do you have a daughter?
I know. I wish I had. I kind of do. Yeah, I claim my baby girl. Yeah, no, for sure.
It's good that you know this information now because you can share it with them. But to your question, absolutely, glue is definitely damaging to the hair and the follicle. Relaxers are as well. That's something that I had struggled with pulling back from, because once I learned what relaxers do, consciously, I just was like, I don't want no parts no more, because that's a part of the problem. The hair glue around the frontal area, through the hair. If a woman constantly is gluing tracks, wefts on their hair, they definitely setting themselves up for traction alopecia. And if they continue to do it back to back, then absolutely the follicle will become damaged, and the hair will no longer be able to grow through the follicle. So I tell women all the time, if you like the way it tracks, at least give your hair a break. Our hair is so important. Yeah. And I will turn a person away real quick, because for one, I'm not doing me personally, I don't do tracks. I don't do that anymore because it takes too long and I just don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. But I just don't want to be a part of the problem, and I know the damage that can be done. So I tell clients all the time, if this is what you want, then you got to go somewhere else. I'm the wrong person for you. I don't want to participate in doing glue and things like that. The only glue that I'm applying is the medical adhesive that I'm putting on my clients with alopecia. And they have to have no hair for us to use that type of medical adhesive. But yes, it can be damaging to the follicle, especially the edges, because our edges is our vellus hairs, which are fine hairs. And when we put in glue around that, or if we constantly wearing wigs and the friction from the wigs is rubbing up against our frontal area where our thin hairs are, then of course the hair isn't strong enough. It's going to start to break off and come out.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah.
And just to piggyback off of what Charles said, a lot of us as Black women wear protective styles, and we think that we're wearing, like right now my hair is braided up, and we think that we're wearing this to protect our style if we go to the gym and all these other things. But over time, not just with weaves, but with like tight braids, tight ponytails, they start to pull as well. Do you think that there are any, a lot of times we think that there's like a quick fix to get the hair follicles, or to be like, oh, I could get hair transplants or something, like bonded or something. Is there a way that we can really allow our hair to grow in a way that's still stylish, but in a healthy way?
Well, I will say this: there is no right or wrong. because everybody lifestyle is different. Everybody want what they want. Some people still want the creamy crack relaxer. Some people want to go natural. Like, it's just no one way when it comes to hair restoration or keep maintaining your hair. What I like to tell people is do what works for you, but you know you better than me. So I always tell my clients, stick with something that is not going to compromise your hair. So like you wearing braided up braids and things like that, there's nothing wrong with wearing braids. But again, if you're doing those type of styles back to back, and you're not giving your hair a break, then that's when it becomes a problem. So like I too wear wigs. And when my hair was long, I did wear braids. But I did not make that my go-to back to back. I switched up my looks. But most importantly, I always resulted back to just taking care of my natural hair. So it's really no right or wrong way when it comes to the proper way to keep the follicles active. To be honest, you can do all the right things and still lose your hair. I've seen it. And because of aging, because of the chemicals in the environment we living in, a lot of things changed over the last 20 years that's contributing to alopecia. And the amount of women that's losing their hair now, it wasn't like this back then because of the environment that has now changed. So you can be doing all the right things and still lose your hair.
Is it true that men who wear a lot of baseball caps, they too have that same problem because what you talked about with the traction around the hairline?
Baseball caps, So men who are, a lot of times what I've noticed over the years, doing consultations and just research and studying, men who have alopecia, they go to the gym a lot, they wear a baseball cap.
Yeah.
And it was another thing. Of course, it was genetics, but their hair loss, it could be the same thing. I mean, even though they are male, they still have follicles. And so certain things within the body, what they discovered is that when you work out a lot, you begin to experience hair thinning, then hair loss.
Interesting.
And so yeah, and it's a lot of things that's connected. You think you're doing something, you are. When you're working out, you are doing something. But it's like when you're taking the medication that the doctor's prescribing you, they giving you something to treat one thing, but it's causing another issue. So a lot of women, they are losing their hair from taking medication like high blood pressure. I have a lot of women who have lost their hair due to it's called induced alopecia, and that's specifically contributing from medications that causes the hair to come out. So you taking blood pressure pills, or you taking pills for lupus and thyroid to help with your immune system, your hormones, but it's causing your hair to come out. So it's almost like it's really just kind of a catch-22 thing.
Yeah.
It's really hard to really say this is what you need to do to keep all your hair. I can't tell you because, to be honest, I've seen people who did everything and they lost their hair.
Still lost their hair, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have heard, and maybe I'm jumping in deep waters at this point, but women, I think my mom told me like after she had me, her hair grew or something like that. And then I hear others that after they have a child, they lose their hair. Yeah, their hair fall out. Is there some type of psychology behind, not psychology, but some type of chemistry behind that? That, once, you have a child, either you grow or lose your hair. What is the impetus of that?
It's the hormones.
Oh, okay.
So it's all hormonal. So when a woman is pregnant, the baby is taking all of her nutrients, everything that she needs for her own body. The baby is now taken up with the mother needs. And so that's why sometimes when we are with child, we get emotional, we feel in a way, we get easily upset. It's just a lot of different things, but it's hormonal.
Right.
So when a woman begins to lose their hair after giving birth, it's because of all of the nutrients and all of the things that she needs the baby had got. So it don't just be just your hair loss that women are experiencing after giving birth, but you also can get the scalp disorder. It's called seborrheic dermatitis, where you just get real bad flare-ups on the scalp of yeast buildup, and it's like a yellowish buildup on the scalp, and that's connected to the it's hormonal. And so there are a few things that happen to women while they are with child and even after they have their child. I also witnessed women hair grow like crazy.
Yeah.
So it depends on the genetics of that person and their DNA.
Interesting.
Right. Not the myth that a boy makes your hair grow and then the girls take it away from you. That's a myth.
Nah, I didn't say that, but since
I know you didn't. But
I could have been a unicorn though, and
that's especially in the Black community. That's something I heard growing up my whole life.
Exactly. That's why I'm glad you said what you said. Let's set the record. She set the record straight.
Okay.
Yes.
For our listeners.
Yeah. Now, kudos to you though. This time went so fast. Jeez. I got so many questions. I guess, will you promise to come back? Because we'd love to have you back.
Absolutely.
All right. How did you get on the show? Was it your publicist?
Yes.
Whoever reached out, they did a good
people
job.
People need to know about Levonye Professionals.
Yes.
We was on Fox 5 a few weeks ago, and we just got overwhelmed with so many calls.
Right.
A lot of women don't know that this is even a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just
so
wanna
real
raise
quickly,
awareness.
let's talk about before we let you go. Let's talk about some of, I guess, the latest advancements and kind of like your place again, so people can kind of know on how to get in contact with you. And then I got a special question for you.
So the special advancements when it comes to the industry is scalp micropigmentation, low-level laser therapy, and non-surgical hair replacement. We are located in Glen Burnie, Maryland, and we service all women. We service men and children, even though our demographic is majority women who are experiencing alopecia. Other things that's happening in this industry is out of my scope of work. I don't do the needles and all of that stuff. I'm the person that everyone comes to who done did everything and nothing else worked.
I got you. Hold that thought one second. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
and the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
and the beautiful
Lady S. Dot.
and the beautiful I just want to get it right. Yalmikia, right? Yalmikia? Can you hear us?
Yalmikia.
Yalmikia. I keep getting that wrong.
I love
Yalmikia.
her
All right,
accent.
y'all including me in there. I'm sorry, I wasn't on point.
No, we include you know the beautiful. You beautiful also. And
Thank
so
you.
absolutely. And so sorry for mispronouncing your name because we got to make sure we get our names right.
No,
You hear
you're
the
fine.
you.
No, I'm serious about that. We got to make sure that we get our kings and queens names right.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I was telling her I love your accent. It's something about Baltimore and y'all accent when y'all say you, and I just love it. I'm just hearing it because we get that in Philly too. Like when you from Philly, they say you got an accent. So loving your Maryland accent.
For sure. I'm coming up there. I want you to come look at my follicles. Make sure I keep. I make sure you look at my follicles. I still got a whole head of hair. My dad before he passed, he still had his whole head of hair. But,
Genetics, like she said.
Yeah. But I still want to make sure my follicles are right. So
And it's a way you can check for that by doing. It's called a
trichoscopy. Now, because we're on that, right, and I'm sure certain people who's watching and they're interested, and I'm sure you piqued some interest also. what would be the process for them to come in, schedule, and what does something like that run? Is it affordable to the average person? Do they have to take out a loan and, take out a secondary loan in their house? I mean, what do they have to do to kind of get seen by you?
So we do finance our services. We finance, we are a vendor with the VA, and we take insurance. We take HSA and FSA benefits, and those are the systems that I was talking about in the beginning of this conversation that I had to make sure that I had in place, because the services we provide, it can be pricey. Yeah. So like for a trichoscopy, it's like a hair and scalp analysis. It's $230 to come and get that done. It takes about an hour, where we looking at your follicles and I'm explaining to you what it is that you see, because you can see your scalp and your follicles, but you don't know what's going on.
Right.
So that is something that a lot of people come in and get done because they just want to stay ahead. They want to make sure that they do not lose their hair. So if we are able to see some signs, then I'm able to put like a treatment plan in place for them to keep that hair in the growing phase and to slow it down from slowing down the hormone, which is DHT, that actually causes the hair to shrink and miniaturize, which leads to hair loss. But yeah, we have systems in place where people can finance. They can use their insurance. If their insurance do cover them, we provide information for our clients to be able to reach out to their insurance company to find out if their insurance cover for our services. Because a lot of women are not aware that their insurance covers for some of the services that we provide, like non-surgical hair replacement. So yeah, we have a system in place, and or you can just pay out of pocket. We also accept Afterpay, because you can use Afterpay now to pay for beauty services, and Shop Pay. So we have a lot of stuff in place for people to be able to utilize our benefits. And most of us, we have like these secondary options like Afterpay, Shop Pay, Affirm, where we can use that money to pay for services. And so I thought to myself, since I'm able to incorporate that in my business, I might as well, pitch that to my clients and let them know these are your options. Because if a client come in and they want to do a hair loss system, they're going to spend anywhere between $1,200 to $2,200.
Wow.
But the units that we provide for them, it lasts over a year. So it's an investment.
No, that's great. That's good to know. And I'm sure those who will be watching this over, they will be glad to know that there are some options, and even potential insurance might be able to cover this. The last question I have is, what's the one thing that no one else knows about Yalmikia? I got it right that time, right? That you can tell us here on We Talk Weekly. I mean, you showed us your little clutch, right? So I want you to dig all the way down in that clutch, and I want you to tell us the one thing no one else knows about Yalmikia that you could tell us now on We Talk Weekly. Would you scrolling through your phone trying? Oh, you really going through your clutch? Okay, you let us know. There we go. I like that.
So it's funny you asked me that question, because before I got on, someone tagged me on Facebook of a picture of me. Well, not tagged me, but they commented on one of my pictures from back in 2017, where I opened up my hair salon. My hair salon was in the neighborhood that I grew up in. Right. And when I was little, I always used to say, this is going to be my hair salon one day. Mm-hmm. So I would go to this corner store and like buy candy and chips and things like that. And I would say to myself, like, this is going to be my salon one day, because I just always loved hair. And I ended up opening up my salon at that same location, the store, which was at the bottom of the block that I grew up on. Mm-hmm. And so, to your question, one thing that a lot of people don't know about me, but they're going to know now, is that I am a firm believer in, and a lot of people say this, but I don't think people really believe it, is that I know who I am. And I know who I am so much that what I speak, I know it's going to come to pass. I know it's just going to happen. So I believe in what I speak out my mouth being a fact, being the absolute, like it has to happen. And so that's one thing about me. Anything I touch is going to happen for me. And I know it. And so that's something about me that I don't really share because, and not that I care, but I know sometimes it can be intimidating to people. And a lot of times people live in false narratives and have limiting beliefs. So when I speak the way I speak, people really look at me like I got 5 heads on my shoulder because I speak what I know to be true.
I know that's right. Well, one thing I know to be true is that we love you and we appreciate you for being on the show. We talk weekly. And one thing that we always say is once you come to the show, you're a friend to the show, so you're always welcome to come back. But I think we want to bring you on more often to be our specialist, our
I would love to.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you tell everyone how they can get in contact with you and all that? Because you're not too far from Philly. So we might.
No, I just was in Philly, and I'm about to be coming back up there in 2 weeks.
You make sure you reach out. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So you can, and this is long, I might gotta put it in the chat, but you can follow us on Instagram at Levonye Professionals. And Facebook is the same thing. And our website, if you go to our website, Levonye Professionals, okay, so I just got an affirmation that says, I see myself and I love myself.
For sure.
Facebook is Levonye Professionals. Instagram, Levonye Professionals. My website is Levonye Professionals. The professionals have 2 F's in it. F says in Frank, though. If you go on our website, there is so much information there. You will learn more about me. You will learn more about how my business has became even a thing. We retail. We do have products that we do retail. So you can learn about our hair products. If you're somebody who is looking for a hair product to use from home, and it's an organic, healthy product for your scalp and your hair, then check out our website. And I know it's a lot of different companies out here who retail hair products, but I'm gonna be really honest. My conscience will not allow me to sell a product if I know it's just not gonna be a thing. And I know some people are selling products because it's like a trend, but like our products that we retail, I literally traveled to Texas, met with chemists because I really wanted to create something that was solid. The foundation was solid and concrete, and it's going to really help and work for people. And so when you order products from us, we ship our products with a thank you card with affirmations, and on our bottles, on all of our packaging for our products, it also comes with affirmations. So remember what I said, I speak what I know. Right. So I incorporated that in our products as well. So when people order from us, we are challenging people to speak what they feel about themselves by using the thank you cards that we sending out with our products.
Wow. Hold on. Give you a round of applause right there. Well, my sister, we really appreciate you. We love you. We wish you the best in all your endeavors and everything that you have to offer. And I mean, you constantly growing. So you started small, got bigger and bigger. Now you super boss. I'm sure you intimidating them men. You a boss now, super boss. But we really appreciate you and we support you. And so anything that you want from us, you think we can assist or help you with, we definitely here for you, and we'll be reaching out.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And the same here. If there's anything I can do, come back and speak, because I am a speaker as well. I can speak to women and young girls because I do mentor young women as well. For sure. Yeah, I love to be able to inspire. So that's
why don't we end with that then? Why don't you look in the camera, look at all the potential young ladies who will be watching and looking at you and looking up to kind of your success and the road that you have paved, and why don't you tell them something, leave them with something?
What I would say is trust yourself, know yourself. There's a lot of things that's going on outside of us and around us that's pulling on us that can be very confusing. But the most important thing is spirit don't lie. We all have a spirit. And so if something don't feel right here in your gut, trust what you feel. You can't see it, you might can't touch it, but trust what you feel, whether it's good or bad. Don't go back and forth and argue with anyone or with yourself about what it is that you feel. That's one thing that I always tell my own self and what I tell other people. Know yourself and trust yourself.
I know that's right. Know yourself and trust thyself, because the only person who know you is you.
It's you.
I know that's right.
Even if you're not being real with yourself, you know you ain't being real with yourself.
I know that's right. You know what I mean? Look, I'm trying to tell you, man. You know you. So stop bobbing and weaving. Know who you really are. Embrace you. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your boy Charles Gregory with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle
and the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
and the beautiful
Lady S.
and the beautiful
Yalmikia.
Yeah.